o'clock, so we are going to call this meeting to order. I will ask at this time if we have additions to the agenda.
I did what I did this first time.
You changed your mind. Okay, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, the agenda is approved. So we do have a gallery presentation. So we have a presentation about CEPI, and so we have Ron and Stan with us. So please, the floor is yours, and welcome, and thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate that because we know you're busy and we do have limited time. We do have a little PowerPoint presentation we brought with us though, and I worked really hard on it, so I guess we'll go through it. But basically, I'm sure we've heard of CEPI before, the Collaborative Environmental Planning Initiative. You sit on our senior council. So, but we do recognize that there are a lot of organizations around the Bredor Lakes, the Biosphere and many others, and sometimes there can be some confusion about overlapping areas of interest. We also recognize that there's always been people getting involved in the network and the process too. And so many people today probably were not around when the CEPI first was formed and might not quite understand how the process proceeds, how our collaborative process works. So we just wanted to take time to visit all our CEPI members and kind of review how that works so that we're all clear about it. And we have a very exciting event coming up in November we wanted to talk about as well. So first of all, we could talk about just the history of CEPI very briefly. We're all very familiar with the Bredor Lakes. It's a gem in not only in Cape Breton, but across Nova Scotia. And it was recognized many years ago that there are pressures affecting the ecosystem, the challenges that it faces, and the stakeholders that were around at that time decided that they needed to get together and see that mitigated. So there was a visionary elder at that time by the name of Charlie Joe Dennis. If any of you knew that man, he was the one who was behind getting people together to collaborate and work together on these issues. And we're talking about First Nations chiefs, municipal leaders like yourself, Mayor Brenda, but also provincial ministers at the time, RDGs at the federal level, all came together because they had the common goal of seeing the success of the Bredor Lakes ecosystem. So you can see on the right there, the charter that they signed back in 2005, committing their organizations to the concept of two-eyed seeing and the collaborative process. And then in 2011, it was the goal, one of the first goals of the CEPI was to form a management plan for the Bredor Lakes. And that was released in 2011. The Spirit of the Lake Speaks, a landmark document really, because it was not the traditional management plan that legislators expected to see. It wasn't a list of rules. It was simply talked about a collaborative process, getting together and talking about the issues, making sure that everybody understood what needed to be done and all working towards that same goal. So what is CEPI? It's a fair question. And basically it's a discussion table. It's a chance for these CEPI members to sit down and talk about the issues, work together. And again, as I said, they're committed to this concept of two-eyed seeing that we can talk about in just a little bit. I'd like to read you this quote, though, from our CEPI terms of reference. When it talks about CEPI as a table, it's a table where a group of partners committed to the preservation and sustainable development of the ecosystem of the Bredor Lakes and watershed lands gather to collaborate toward their mutual goals and interests. And that's what we've seen happen since the formation of CEPI. Who actually sits at the table? Well, people like yourself, the mayor, and the other municipal and community leaders here in Cape Breton sit together with the provincial ministers, the RDGs at the federal level. We call you the senior council. You are effectively the CEPI members. And we just kind of work for you. But obviously you don't have the time to go down to the shore of the Bredor Lake and work day to day on things. So long ago, the senior council appointed the management committee, which is representatives from the senior council who kind of handle the operation of the CEPI. And the CEPI management committee is guided by, or helped by the secretariat. So that would be the Unama'ki Institute of Natural Resources based in Eskazoni. They serve as the secretary, do the administrative work for SEPI. And they actually hired the coordinator, which is Stan Johnson, and myself, Ron Newcomb, I'm the assistant coordinator. We kind of do the day-to-day on the ground work of the SEPI. Then we have the steering committee. Now, the steering committee is made up of not only representatives from the senior council, but really any stakeholder, anybody with a vested interest in Bredor Lakes who want to see it be successful. They sit on the steering committee to discuss issues, and they serve to advise the senior council by saying, well, we're here on the ground, this is an issue that we see, it involves this group and this group, so then the senior council can get together and talk about that. Along with the steering committee, we have an elders council, and we also have SEPI youth. And these three groups together, they're not voting members of the SEPI, but by extension, we consider them SEPI members because they serve to advise the senior council as they do this collaborative work. And then, at times, action may need to be taken, and that's when the SEPI will appoint task teams, and it's usually Stan and myself who guide these task teams to do, maybe it's an area where we see we need more information on this topic before we can proceed. So we'll form a task team to do a little research on the topic and come to understand these things. So that way, the senior council can be properly informed about all of these issues that need to be discussed. And it's because of this organizational structure that SEPI is able to capitalize on its position as a discussion table. It facilitates co-learning, knowledge sharing, identifying gaps in knowledge and policy, and it really supports this collaborative work and concept of two-eyed seeing. If you had time, we could go into our terms of reference. I do highly recommend on a Sunday when you have nothing else to do, go to our website, bredorsepi.ca, and it's listed there. But the vision statement is there that we are guided by, also this purpose statement, all of them focused on the idea that we're collaborating together, we're all working together. We also organize our work under four objective areas: institutional, social, cultural, economic, and environmental. And in this way, you'll notice that our work plan and our budget are organized under these topic headings as well, so you can kind of understand how the work is being done. And our management plan also expresses these 7 guiding principles that we follow in our work as well. We couldn't talk about SEPI without talking about two-eyed seeing at 11th month. And really, this is the basis for everything that we do. And to put it in extremely simple terms, two-eyed seeing refers to one eye on indigenous ways of understanding things and one eye on a Western way of understanding things. And as Dr. Albert Marshall says, you cannot have success unless you use both eyes equally. So it really means looking at all areas, let everybody have a voice and everybody work together where they have true success. And this is a foundation of how SEPI operates. What value does the SEPI table give to each individual member? Well, that's a very fair question to ask, isn't it? It's great to support the group and an idea, but obviously we want to know how it's furthering our own objectives. Well, it gives everybody an opportunity to come to the table and have access to the other members that have jurisdiction in this area, right? So member projects have support from all the individuals at the table. It reduces duplication of efforts, which has been a problem in the past. We have conferences and workshops where everybody gets together with their peers and identify issues and gaps in knowledge and so on. And I'll also read this from our terms of reference. It provides a way forward for First Nations and other governments to maintain or establish trust, transparency, harmony, and cooperation while discharging their various mandates towards the Bredor Lakes watershed. Here's some current initiatives that we have on the go. There are many things happening throughout the SEPI network, and obviously Stan and I are just help to coordinate work on these issues. But here are some of the highlights of things we work on, SEPI Youth being one of the more prominent and popular ones. But especially we'd like to talk to you today about the 2023 Two-Eyed Seeing Conference that we have coming up in November. It's November 13th to 15th. And the idea, Albert always says he's getting tired of saying what it is. He wants to see people apply it, he wants to see action. And so this conference is going to be about turning the idea of two-eyed seeing into action. How do you apply two-eyed seeing in your own organization? How do we apply it as we work together? That's going to be the main focus of this. So we have some more information on that just coming up throughout this presentation. But as you can imagine, the work needs to be supported. And one great thing we can say about the CEPI network is the in-kind support that we get is phenomenal throughout the network. Stan took some effort there a couple of years ago to try and put a value on, say, to have you come to a meeting. What is that worth in dollars? Throughout the network, all the people that participate on our task teams and committees and so on, and other resources that are committed in kind. And we came up with a figure of probably over $600,000 towards the work. So that's amazing. And it's kind of unheard of in organizations like this. However, we do have, we have to pay the bills too. We often need money, and this is just an excerpt from a recent budget that shows you how the different CEPI members commit actual funding to pay salaries and things like that. And I bring that up because I know that every year when you're having your budget talks, you'll no doubt see a request from the CEPI organization, and now you kind of understand that it's just to help support your work as well. And just in conclusion, I wouldn't mind saying again how much we appreciate the support that Port Hawkesbury has always given to the CEPI process. We love to see you participating in it, and we thank you so much for that. And even the funding that you've been able to give, it obviously serves for the success of the network, not only of the ecosystem, but of the people that live here in Ecuador Lakes too. Now, I think there's also it's just some notes about the CEPI conference that we really want to, that's uppermost on our minds right now because it's coming up so soon. Turning vision into action. That's going to be the theme of this presentation. November 13th to 15th, it's going to be in Member 2. And the website, on our website, if you type /conference, you'll come to a web page that it has a registration there, and also we're looking for people for speakers and things like that. And this is just some highlights of what we're going to have during that discussion or during those 3 days. We obviously hope that you'll support it by attending. We also have sponsorship packages we'd like to provide you by email afterwards. And if you have anyone who would like to speak, by all means, go to our website and fill out an application for that too, because we want to hear stories about how people are applying two-eyed seeing in their organization and having success with it. So I think there are, yes, this talks about our sponsorship packages, and there are different levels we have there, but you know what? You know what they always say, there's no amount that's too small. So we are always looking for that. And we'll send all this to you by email so that you can have the opportunity to prove it at your own pace. But thank you very much for the time to talk about that.
Thanks so much, Sean.
And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you for the presentation. It was fantastic. We'll open up the floor for questions. Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Thank you very much for your presentation. And I think I'm probably the only one around the table that was here when we joined with CEPI.
Correct.
I spent a lot of time in the summers on the Badura Lakes. I'm just wondering, who do you say was entitled to go to that conference? Any council member, or is it just one person per council, or is it, how do you define?
There is going to be, I think, limited space because it's at Member 2 and they can hold 400. Yeah, so it's kind of a.
There's room for you here.
I think a couple of us could go.
But you know, we've had such interest, even nationally, that I'm pushing for like a streaming part of it or something like that. Maybe there'll be like a video. We have to figure out a way to, more people are going to want to see it than can actually fit in the building for sure. But there's still spaces available, so.
Okay, no, I just was wondering if it was just one person per council or if it was anybody that wanted to go. What's the criteria for?
Right now, it's open to anyone with an interest.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
It's great that you asked that question, Deputy Mayor. And just when Stan and Ron first came in, we talked about how far and wide this two-wide seating concept has really, you know, and it's not just across North America, it's global. Like,
Yeah.
there's just such interest in it. So, yeah, so Albert is turning into a bit of a local celebrity.
Amazing.
Wonder if he'll give us his autograph. Any other questions? And I know Mark, just through the Nova Scotia Community College and the Marine Institute, you know, strong connections with Dr. Albert Marshall. And I think you're no stranger to the two-wide seating concept there at the campus.
No.
Yeah, which is wonderful to see. We were mentioning how we visited Waddy Long's forestry class yesterday.
Yeah.
And the same story, like he always makes sure he teaches all the students about the concept so that when they go and apply for a job at UINR and they ask them, have you heard anything about two-wide seating? They can give a whole dissertation on it.
That's
It's wonderful to see.
Yeah. No, that's great. I guess the one question that I have, I guess in terms of I think it's great that this conference is taking place and, you know, pushing the boundaries past theory to action, which I think is super fantastic. And just for your information, we had a conversation with the new executive director with the Strait Area Chamber of Commerce, and we partnered with the chamber just on a housing study in terms of how do we move the needle for housing. And she had the opportunity to take part in the MOU signing, and she was super interested in how she could potentially apply two-wide seeing to the concept of building new housing. What could those communities look like through this two-wide seeing kind of, you know, lens, which is, so you guys got people talking.
Yeah, we met her yesterday, and I think we've got a meeting scheduled with her too. So.
Oh, do you with Tanya Felix? Yeah, no, she's fantastic. And the only other thing I would just offer for information for council, you know, CEPI is an absolutely wonderful contributor as well for the Strait of Canso Offshore Wind Task Force. So it's like critical that we have you there, you know, just making sure that we are taking that journey on and keeping the two-wide seeing approach like just utmost in our minds when we go forward as a community organization.
I think that's important that we're there because it does affect all of the CEPI members.
Yeah, especially when you look at environment and we talk about working with youth, like how do we create economic opportunity that's going to leave our planet in a better place than we found it. So anyway, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So through your worship.
Oh, yes, no, absolutely.
Thank you.
I don't think Jason had one, but go over to you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just curiosity, can you provide information in terms of the financial contributions? I think it said 12.5 for all the municipalities on the island. Do you know the figures off the top of your head in terms of each contribution?
Of each municipality?
And you probably don't, right?
Everyone does what they can.
Yes.
Some CEPI members are not necessarily able every year to do that, but we do hope that by going around and reminding folks that, you know, this is something your council is committed to in the past, that you find it in your good hearts to continue to support the process, not only in kind, but financially as well. There's, I don't think a set amount, although I do believe that most communities contribute 5,000. Yeah, I think that's like a typical.
5,000?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I saw the total was 12.5.
Yes, so, well, that tells you that.
You can ask for 5, which I never ask it.
Yeah, now we don't typically, like, we don't send an invoice or whatever.
No.
Because again, it is your organization, however much you would like to contribute towards the process, whatever you can, not just what you would like to. I'm sure you'd like to donate a lot more, but, you know, what is possible is, you know, is what we want to do, of course, but we appreciate anything
Yes,
we
yeah.
can get.
Great, thank you.
Any follow-up questions, Council? Okay, well, thanks again. Safe drive home. And we really appreciate you coming and sharing the information about the 2IC conference as well.
Good purpose. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Hey, guys.
So we will move on to council reports on assigned committees. Maybe we'll start with Councillor Queen.
So last night we had the accessibility committee meeting, and there was an airport committee meeting. I don't have the date right now that I sat on. And I think that's been it since I come back in September.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McCarthy.
Yes, Your Worship, through you, this month we had a police advisory meeting, and this last night we had a waterfront advisory meeting. We're just getting back into it, and yes, I did see it. And I think it's part of Mr. Snook's report of
Perfect.
what's happening at the waterfront.
Any other items?
No.
Mayor?
Yes, Your Worship, thank you to you. I had a Inverness Home Support Group meeting, which is a lot of work going on that. We had a police advisory committee meeting, which there was some questions asked. Myself and Councillor McIver and Aaron were present at the meeting, and some of the questions that were asked tonight and our previous meeting were asked there. I was going to chat tonight the questions you asked me about the policing of the APDs and the registration. We asked those questions. And we asked those questions and we got similar answers to it, Mr. Doyle got. I also had a number of Wall of Fame meetings. We're having and you'll hear about it, and I'm going to have more to say about this because I got a presentation to make at a regular meeting in October. We're having a get together for volunteers over the years that volunteered with the Straight Pirates on the 24th, and on the 25th we're having their inductees. We picked their inductees, but I'm not going to say who they are yet because the mayor is going to notify them first, and I will be announcing them at their regular council meeting in October. That's my report. Thank you.
So the tentative dates are October 24th and 25th?
24th is for the night of the game. On the 24th, we're going to have all the volunteers for the Pirates in the past.
That's exciting.
And it is going to be exciting, and there's going to be an ask on the October meeting for that. And on the 25th is going to be our inductees to the sports wall itself on the 25th, on a Saturday. And by the way, all council and the chief administrating officers, as the board of directors, are obviously invited.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. And Councillor McCoy.
So, Your Worship, I have nothing to report since the committee of the whole in June.
Perfect. And I did distribute my committee of the whole report.
Yeah.
Just a page or two. I included that in your package, but of course, if you have any questions at any time, I'm happy to answer
I already
them.
got to read half of it, and that took me 3 days.
Listen, I tried to, I even streamlined it, but, okay. I know it was 9 pages, and I streamlined it, but it was June, July, August, and part of September. I'm a busy lady.
You were.
We're not sending it away anymore.
I can say 5 pages, but I'll have to print it on both sides. But anyway,
Right.
yeah, I'm trying to save the trees, Mark. I'm sorry, you could have downloaded it.
I said we're not sending it away anymore.
Okay, so the report was 36 pages for the Germany trip.
Yeah, that's right.
So here's your option. You have the report. If you so wish, Jennifer and myself are happy to present at a future committee of the whole if you wanted something a little bit more thorough than the report.
It's pretty thorough.
Pretty thorough, and I'm so happy with it.
I'm sure Mark would help as well. You weren't even there. He's like, I wasn't even in Germany.
So, Your Worship, for the people watching this, would you like to go through that report tonight, please?
Oh, I would love to. I thought you'd never ask.
I'm
Thank you,
joking, of
Jason.
course.
I said I'm not going to get out of here before midnight.
Okay,
Be alone.
all right. So I guess we'll put a pin in it. I'll let you think about that. But I would be happy to throw together a PowerPoint presentation
We're good.
if you want me to tell you a little bit more about that Germany trip. It's 36 pages.
Very good report.
Thank you. So speaking of reports, we will move over to Gary's CAO reports.
Thank you, Your Worship. First one up is Engineering and Public Works. So Jason McMillan has prepared a report on public works and engineering and projects, part of which we shared with you at the September public. Jason is not here with us this evening. He's on conference. So I won't get into sort of the details. Just hit a couple of key things. Really, the biggest thing that's affected us this year is what's been called flash floods or rain bombs or severe rainstorms, which is, I've been told we've received 3 times the normal amount of rain this year in our town that we have historically. Hurricane on September 2022, July 12th, probably the worst effect that we had. So we had 90 millimeters of rain in approximately 3 hours. 40 of that came within an hour and caused a great deal of damage. And then 150 millimeters on July 22nd, 23rd. So that has caused a lot of damage, culvert washout, asphalt damage, road AT. And you all experienced, we talked about this before, but it's also cost a lot of work for public works. So yeah, it's just kind of unprecedented. We had, our parks flooded, our trails flooded. Unfortunately, many basements with town residents that have had to deal with that through insurance and other things as well. We have produced, it's called the Hawkesbury Homeowners Guide to Flood Prevention and Safety. So that document is fully drafted. We have it for review with some agencies. We've asked building inspectors from EDBC to have a look, and some provincial folks. So that'll be out to homeowners soon. Yeah. So as a result of that, as a result of the amount of rain, and as a result of the work that we're doing in repairing that damage, a lot of the work has been slower, including asphalt patching, sidewalk replacement, those types of things. But we still have, Public Works has still managed to do a significant amount of work despite what the other challenges they've had to take on. So, this is, we're showing our new loader, and significant efforts being shown to increase our effectiveness. We've done just a ton of work on cleaning up storm drains, catch basins, sewer catch basins, all those things that could be affected by the severe rain that we had. Also had very much the pleasure of some new connects for some new builds. So two new homes in Tamarack, 2 new duplex units. That are being prepped now. A new home on Spruce Street that's being connected, and a new office complex beside the Running Man on Reeve Street under construction. I'm going to hand this over to Gordy after any questions.
Any questions or comments for Terry?
Just a comment for you, Your Worship, to relate to Public Works. After we had the first big rain bomb, we'll call it, and citizens reached out, I just want to thank Jason and his crew for working quickly and getting things cleaned up and cleared out. It hasn't gone unnoticed by the residents for sure. I know I've received lots of compliments.
Thanks. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll start by just touching on at the Civic Center here. We have our ice back in, another install, and we're in full spring there with hockey, ice activities. We turned the ice plant on the 13th of August, and for a week or two there, we battled some really high humidity and rain weather. It really takes a toll on the ice install, and it just prolongs it. It stretches it rather than a few days. It stretches it more into a week, but we always get it done. It's just a little bit harder Some years are better and easier than others, but with the weather this year, it was a little bit of a challenge, but you can see in the pictures that the guys always do a great job, and we're up and running now. So our, our public skates and our senior skate in Paranatot will start early in October, and our hockey schedule is underway. Cabot Islanders and Street Pirates and all kinds of training camps. The Clyde County system is underway, so we're pretty busy this time of year, and it looks like we're only going to be busier. So that's significant for early September. Just some pictures there showing some improvements that we've done to some parks and planters and spaces throughout the town over the summer. And I have to compliment Catherine Warner for, getting away from this building and kind of spearheading most of that work. You'll see the work that was done on the berms. There's some before and after pictures there. Catherine has a love for this type of work, and she takes a lot of it on herself. So she should be complimented on the work she does away from and in addition to her normal work schedule. So we're lucky to have Catherine in that capacity. There's some improvements to some flower planters there at the Customs House, the Cape Breton Center for Craft and Design, Granville Green planters. And most significantly is the changes, we all know, to what we call the Hawk Park, the corner of McSween and Granville there. That was significant work done there. And I've got to go back right to some volunteers in the town, with the Trails Association, like Cyril Gillis, and we had a couple of trail students on, Seamus Beaton and Aiden Taylor. They put some time in, a lot of time in, and then Paula Davis put a lot of time in herself to make that park look like what it does today. We had a contractor come in and clean up the bricks and the wood and the walls and stuff, and quite a significant change to that park, and I think everybody's happy with the result. Some additional pictures to some planters that made their way to the new boardwalk on the waterfront. A couple of boat planters there and normal regular planters. And there's more to come. We're still waiting on, we have some additional Adirondack chairs and some additional planters for when more of that phase of the work is complete. They'll be at the waterfront, the boardwalk area and at the Sunset Park area. And we're waiting on the delivery of our 2 kiosk buildings. They're a few weeks away, but we should have them this fall. And we've been working with Mulgrave Machine has erected some really nice signage for the waterfront. It touches on a number of, history of the town, some significant businesses and people that have impacts on the town, throughout the years. So they're beautiful signs. We're taking possession of them tomorrow. And we've contracted C.W. Bennett to put the bases in early next week. So you'll see them as soon as by the end of next week. So they'll be a nice addition to the waterfront project there. And we also have our art piece being developed for Sunset Park. It's in production now as we speak. We're looking at having that sometime towards the end of October, middle of October, the end of October, and the same contractor is going to be doing the base for that. And that's a significant piece of infrastructure. It's approximately 12 feet high. And it's about 6 feet wide. And it's going to Sunset Park to a place to be determined there, but it's going to make a nice impact on that location. Just continuing on with the improvements throughout the town, we did get a day, maybe 2 days, I think we spent on Pine Ridge early on cleaning that up. We were able to spruce it up a little bit, and Public Works came behind us and took care of some heavier stuff that the students weren't able to, but we did get a chance to get at that. Touching on the fields were busy throughout the summer. Right now we're getting ready to get moving with our fall maintenance program with just the fall fertilizer, the overseeding and stuff like that, and adding some soil where we can to have it built up for the winter. And by the pictures you can see that we had a really successful provincial championship a couple of weekends back where the Sting were victorious. Our home team, I think it was 2 years in a row, they've won that title. So congratulations to them. And I did have a picture of the field, and I don't see it. I think I must have not included it.
It was in an earlier picture.
Yeah. Summer students, they're all wrapped up the end of August 25th. We had a really good group, worked hard all year, and as I pointed out in some of our beautification projects, they had a hand in some of them, helping us out and doing different stuff all summer. They were, weeding, mowing, lining fields, moving stuff for events and stuff like that. So they're really are a helping hand throughout the summer, and we appreciate them. We wish them well in their education and what they're doing this year, and hope to see them back next year. Excuse me, the food bank, we're still waiting. We're being held up there a little bit with actually closing the file on the food bank. We have some more geotechnical work to do there. We have to, in order to get a full 100% clearance or closure on that file from early 2000s on the ruptured oil drum on the site, we have to do some additional borehole testing a little bit away from the food bank towards the sidewalk and out onto Granville Street to make sure that we have nothing leaching that way. So we're confident that we'll be able to close that file and continue with the site landscaping and stuff to finish that work around the food bank. But it's kind of it's not a good practice to do that work and maybe have to dig it up again in the near future. We want to get clearance on those boreholes first. So we're still waiting on the drill rig. The Stantec Engineering is contracting that drill rig, and there's only a couple in the province and they're really hard to get, but they tell us they're working on it and we hope to have it soon. Couple of notes on the airport. We had our asphalt repair patching completed out there. We are meeting with the contractor tomorrow to look at doing some sealing on some cracks on the runway. We've done that last year. It was pretty successful. We're going to do another scope of it this year. And as you can see by the pictures, we did replace the roof on the office building. That's about it. Accessibility, we had, as Councillor Corey mentioned, we met last night after our summer break. We welcomed a couple of new members to our committee, so we're happy about that. That's pretty much it for now. We're looking at following up on an accessibility funding application that we were successful with. So that'll allow us to do some work at Granville Green, some work at the playground, and some additional accessible work for some pathways at Sunset Park also. So looking forward to getting that going before the snow flies. And that's my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much, Corey. Any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor?
Yes, Your Worship, through you, thank you for your presentation, Gordy. I guess we'll go without saying, from McSweeney Street, or particularly from Philpott towards Sunset Park, it's great to drive down there and be able to see the causeway.
Yes, I didn't mention that, Councillor Magula, that job is not complete yet, but
it's a work in progress, and it's very good to see people down there and seeing that being done. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're good.
Yes, George, through you. Thank you for the presentation, Gordy. I just want to thank you and the Works Department on the work that you did on Pine Ridge. The residents that did call me on that had acknowledged it. They noticed the difference of it. They thought it looked very good. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Corey. Back over to you, Chair.
So we're going to move on to marketing, recreation, tourism, and culture. Michelle is online. Michelle, you be able to join us? Great. So I'm going to hand things over to Michelle, and she'll take us through the report that she prepared.
Through your workshop, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. As usual, I'd like to start with the incredible work that's being done in the Strait Area Trails. Just an incredibly busy year with all the washouts and just doing remediation and regular maintenance that they expect every summer on top of that. You'll see the brand new boardwalk, just over 100 feet of boardwalk was repaired and reconstructed on the Hemlock Trail. Lots of mowing and whippersnipping at all the trailheads was completed 4 times throughout the summer. The association hosted the You Belong Outside Day on September 9th, partnered with the town and the Nova Scotia Health Authority. And that was focused on improvement to the AT trail from the bottom of the NSCC entrance to McMaster Road. And about 20 people came out to help, which was awesome. The trails, like Gordy mentioned, had 2 summer students. They both received their Power Saw certification. They partnered with Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health, where the medical students were also given a tour of the trails. So that's really exciting. It was actually requested by the group. So obviously people are hearing about the trails. So that's a great thing. And Embry Falls placed 6th in the most visited waterfalls over a 6-week tourism promotion by Destination Cape Breton. And Destination Cape Breton has already confirmed that they'll be participating again next year. So just a great thing. They've also ordered a water backpack for fires, and it'll be attached to the mule for added safety when coming across a smoldering fire in the trails. And also you'll see the steps. They're beautiful. They were constructed on the Hemlock Trail, and Larry says 23 steps for 2023. That's how he remembers. They're just, yeah. So there's 23 steps there, and they're just gorgeous. And he wanted me to mention he also met a journalist who was writing a coffee table book about waterfalls, and he made mention that the Strait Area trails are some of the nicest and most well-groomed trails that he's ever seen. And so this is from someone who's really well traveled in this kind of realm, and just really nice for the Trails Association to hear, and just confirmation of the great work that they're doing. Just to quickly mention some numbers from the trail counters. I just received them yesterday, so they're not included in my report, but I can certainly send them along. So between August 15th and September 15th, on the Hemlock Trail, 2,761 visits, 1,625 on the Maple Trail, and 1,327 on the Tamarack Trail. So it's just a real testament to how much the trails are being utilized, and that kind of information is just going to be great in the future when it comes to keeping the trails in good repair. Okay, on to recreation programming. You'll see the new recreation flyer in your packages, and I do have hard copies for everyone, so I'll put those in your mailboxes. The Strait Area Pool is going to reopen on September 26th, and that's the same day that swimming lesson registration will open, as well as registration for all other recreation programs. There will be a water awareness and basic swim skills program for people with autism spectrum disorder, in partnership again with Autism Nova Scotia Strait Area chapter. The staff have already been inundated with calls about booking pool birthday parties, and we're going to be hosting pool parties with the inflatable obstacle course one Sunday per month, as we usually do. And one of the pool staff members is actually now an instructor for the Bronze Medallion and Bronze Cross program, so we'll training program, so we'll actually be able to host those in-house. There is a Bronze Medallion course running from actually just this past weekend, and Bronze Cross this coming weekend. And there's a National Lifeguard course scheduled for October, and a life-saving instructor course planned for November. In the summer, we hosted a really successful day camp, again, that ran from the beginning of July to the end of August with great attendance, nearly 20 kids on average a day. Summer programs included drop-in pickleball, scavenger hunts, youth fun time, and we had a really successful track and field day, as always, with just over 70 children participating. And we'd just like to thank the volunteers who came out to help us that day. It's really important for such a large, busy program. The Canada Day celebrations were held at Granville Green on July 1st with live music in partnership with Kitchen Fest, as well as fancy houses, games, barbecues, and of course the big cake that everybody loves. And 2 drive-in movies in July and August, each with over 100 people attending. Registration for fall programs begins again September 26th. This season's offerings include music classes, chair yoga, drop-in basketball, soccer paint nights, learn to skate program, which is always highly requested, and a variety of youth and adult craft programs. Shows and events. Oh, there's some photos of our day camp. And there's our track and field day. Oh, and that was Granville Green, I believe the Adam Baldwin show. Okay, shows and events coming up. We've got quite a few shows coming up. October 27th, we have Matt Minglewood Band. November 18th, Rain Maida and Chantal Kraviatsuk. We're at about almost 300 tickets sold for that show. We'll be announcing Matt Anderson's Christmas show happening December 7th. That'll be announced next week. December 10th, Bet and Maynard are coming back for their show Christmas in Cape Breton. And March 15th, we have the Privateers and High Society coming back for St. Patrick's Day weekend. So that's really exciting and was very successful this year. And then April 7th, we have the Island Girls coming back for a show. I'll skip to Celtic Colors. Sports Wall of Fame was already mentioned. So the opening show is happening October 6th at the Port Hawkesbury Civic Center, and there is also a show at the Sarek Auditorium on October 9th. And just worth mentioning, Celtic Colors has also confirmed that Port Hawkesbury will be hosting the opening show in 2024 as well. So that's great. This is actually very exciting. I was notified by Recreation Nova Scotia that Granville Green has been selected as the recipient for the Recreation Nova Scotia Municipal Event Award. And the Municipal Event Award recognizes a community who has demonstrated excellence in program planning and implementation. So Annie will be attending that ceremony on behalf of the town to accept the award. So starting October 30th, also we have a whole bunch of audio-visual upgrades that are going to be completed at the Port Hawkesbury Civic Center. And I did include a whole list, but in general, we'll be getting all new projectors, a portable display cart with portable meeting capabilities. We will have a digital dressing room assignment board for the arena. And so that will be all completed between the week of October 30th and November 3rd. Safety in the Strait. So in collaboration with Cape Breton Partnership, WCB, Port Hawkesbury Paper, and Everwind, the town, Jason and I are participating in the Safety in the Strait Committee as a facility liaison. And the group is aimed at providing education around workplace safety, and we're looking at hosting an inaugural conference in late November. And the Recreation Department, i.e. myself, I've been asked to act as a consultant on the Center of Rural Aging and Health Steering Committee. So that includes NSCC campus staff, students, and community partners that support the well-being of older adults with hands-on activities relating to active living, health practice, healthy eating, and healthy relationships. The shared vision is to complement existing community-based programs, address gaps, avoid duplication, and add value to what's already happening on the ground in the Quad County region. And their aim is to increase the number of older adults engaged in a broad range of activities focused on health and wellness. The town website is coming up shortly. It's currently in the design stage and being assessed for accessibility. So once the design is fully approved, the build will begin with a hard deadline of November 30th. So just to give you a timeline on that. And then finally, marketing and media. Town of Port Hawkesbury total page likes increased by about 100, from 4,400 to 4,501. that is my report for this evening. Sorry, it's very long-winded.
That was all wonderful updates, so thank you. We're always pleased to hear about all of the staff reports. Any questions or comments at this time from folks? Yeah, go ahead, Huey.
Thank you very much, Michelle, and I don't know if there was anything you want to add to the Wall of Fame, but hopefully I said everything. And just want to mention one thing in terms of Celtic colors. I think that we're looking for, our colleague was looking for some not volunteers, but some workers to help to set up and tear down for the event. And I mean, that's just a shout out there for anybody that may be listening or watching us. Thank you very much for your report.
Any other questions or comments for Michelle? Okay, thanks so much. Gary?
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, so I'm gonna hand it over to Erin, and she's gonna talk about
Money.
tax sale and health benefits and all kinds of things.
Those two things don't usually go together, health benefits and tax sales. But
Confused.
anyway, we'll proceed. I'll talk about, so I was just recently joined the NSFM Health and Benefits Committee. So this is a committee that reports on the administration of the municipal health benefits policy to the NSFM. So I'm really fresh in that committee. I just started on September 14th, the first meeting, but just something new that I'm involved in. Just on the audit, again, I don't think this is a surprise. We've been talking about this. It is delayed, looking like it'll probably be late fall when we have the delivery of the audit results to the audit committee and council. So just wanted to keep you informed of that. Yeah, the Alan J. McCacken Regional Airport, we had a meeting on September 6th. I may have missed the report on this because I was a little late joining this meeting, but just from a financial perspective, the revenues and expenditures of that committee or of that facility are tracking on budget. Landry Lake meetings are occurring and continuing with various departments on an ongoing basis. I don't know if council, I think some council were able to join the service exchange consultations that happened through the summer. I attended as well, and it looks like the results of that will be a slight financial benefit to the town of Port Hawkesbury relating to reduction of housing and correction expenses, which is positive. It seems like there was no real negativity around the reduction of those expenditures through the consultations. It seemed like the majority of the feedback, I guess, or negative feedback came around the roads conversation and primarily from the rural municipalities. Not an issue for us. It's as we own all of the roads with the exception of Reeve Street. Yeah, so the province isn't taking on the roads as part of that service exchange, but they're going to continue to talk about them. So that's the report on that. And last but not least, just on collection processes, Tiffany has started in the position of tax and utility clerk in mid-July and has ramped up collection processes. So not sure if you're hearing about it or not. We continue collection processes until her arrival. Sent out arrears notices and letters to folks who are at risk of being significantly overdue. And she's continued to follow up that process. So on the water side, we have sent out potential disconnect notices that if folks don't contact us, they're at risk of being disconnected, and we're going to be going through the next stage of that where we're targeting those that haven't contacted us to make arrangements and have overdue accounts. So if you're hearing anything, just tell them to contact the office and make arrangements for payments. Also on the tax sale side or on the tax collection side, notices have gone out a couple of times for specific targeted notices for properties that are at risk of tax sale. Some payments have been made and accounts cleared up, but we're at the point in our collection process where we are required to send out preliminary notices. This is a legislated process, the tax sale process, and it's something we must do when accounts get to a certain age. what I'm asking council tonight, the preliminary notices as prescribed in the MGA, I think it's section 138. You are to provide 14 days for folks to make arrangements for payments or to clean up their arrears. I'm asking for council, because council is able to extend that time period, and I'm asking for council to extend that time period to 30 days to give folks a bit more time. Anybody who will be getting these notices shouldn't be in shock. They would have received 1, 2, 3 notices in addition to their tax bills with the arrears noted on that bill as well. But I think it's, where we're getting a bit more serious in this process. I would ask the council consider increasing that timeline for response on the preliminary notices from 14 to 30 days. Any questions on that?
Thanks, Erin. Any questions for Erin? Okay, so we'll move that motion forward to public meeting for ratification.
Absolutely, yeah. So that would be my request, is that, yeah, if there's no concern or question on it, I'd ask that this motion be moved forward to the public meeting.
Yeah, is council okay with that suggestion? Okay, no, we will definitely accept your recommendation.
Give me time to think about it.
So we do have a quorum of people willing to accept your recommendation. Mark's thinking about it.
Good, I can wait till the public meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Erin. We'll do this across the table then. Okay, other business, we do have one item under other business for consideration. And it's simply a letter of support on behalf of the town to Beataba, who are planning to apply for funding to hold a youth conference or gathering at a future date. So I guess if council is okay with that, we can move it forward for ratification at our public meeting. And if we do have to expedite the letters so that they can have it included with their funding application, if council is okay with that, we'll take that direction. Any opposition to that? All right, so seeing everybody's in support, we don't have any approved additions, so we will look at our future meetings. And as always, the first Tuesday of every month will be our next public meeting, followed by committee of the whole, the third Tuesday of every month. I would ask for a motion of adjournment.
So moved.
Do we have a seconder?
Second, your worship.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Worship.